Hello, friends, and welcome to the Friday stream. I am your hostess, Lisa. Nice to see you all. Lily is eating her veggies. Good for you. Lissa says, Hiya, papaya. Hiya. Hi, Green Emerald, Existential Gamer, and Radical Ramblings, and whoever else might be out there listening. My internet is like very slow. I have the little thing is up there that's like your internet sucks right now. So um Radical says I cannot see you unless that's intentional. It's not. Can anyone else see me? That's scary. Can you hear me? What do you mean, Lisa in darkness? What? Stop. Ugh. Oh no. What? Hearing perfectly, but you can't see me? Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna try something. Damn it. What the heck? It looks totally like it normally does to me. I'm so annoyed right now. What the heck? Oh no. Screen is black? Hmm. It really looks like it always does to me. Like it doesn't look. It's like StreamYard has this little link that says having issues. Yeah, I guess I am. I really don't know. What the heck? Oops, somebody is texting me. It's radical. Okay. Well, you know what? I've got a slideshow, so let's see if that works. Can you see that? I'm annoyed because I look so beautiful today too. So I hate to deprive you all of my beautiful face, but um can you see the slideshow? Yes. Okay. Cool. Now can you see me? Or just the slides? Um I'll wait. So you could see the slides, so that's good. But can you see me now? No. Okay. Whatever then. We'll just do the slides. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Let's roll with it. Today we're talking about abortion. I haven't talked about it in ages. I don't know what's going on. Well, whatever. Okay. I have a few videos about abortion, and actually the things I'm going to just mention right now, I have videos that go in more depth on all of these topics, and they are linked in the description box because I am on top of my shiz today. So if you're interested, feel free to check those out. Forced pregnancy, we could call it abortion ban, we could call it forced pregnancy. I think forced pregnancy really gets to the heart of what is happening here. Um, Forcing women against their will to do this labor. Forced pregnancy is a violation of the 13th Amendment of the US Constitution. Class, who knows what the 13th Amendment was about or specifically what it ended? I'll give you a hint. It came at the end of the Civil War in 1865. It's a right we all have. Correct, Camille gets an A for class participation. The 13th Amendment precludes slavery, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So if you commit a crime, you can be enslaved, I guess, is what that's saying. But involuntary servitude. I think the reason why nobody has sued about these laws these abortion bans violating their constitutional right, 13th Amendment of the Constitution, is because people don't see reproductive labor as labor, but it absolutely is. I think a good example, or a good point, is that people pay for surrogates, right? So a surrogate, no one is questioning whether surrogacy is labor because people are paid for it. Um, Eggs are paid for, right? They're called egg donors, but that labor to produce the egg is compensated with money. So reproductive labor is a 1 million trillion bazillion percent real work. It's real work. It's just work that we take for granted and we consider as, we don't see it as real labor. Enlightened female playing 5D chess here. Involuntary servitude is the crime in this case, but that is illegal on a federal level. Yes, wait, my brain, I agree. Um, Radical Ramblings, a Canadian in our midst, says right to liberty or something. So, yeah, I think we don't really see, do you guys agree with that? That we don't see the labor that women do with our reproductive systems, even in just maintaining them, as labor, but it fully, totally, 100% is. Existential says, and they don't see women as fully human. We are animals, slaves to our biology, and are made for birthing citizens. I, Ice Goddess says it's not involuntary servitude because the woman had sex. I can hear that argument. Yeah, I could hear that argument too. I think, yeah, right. It's, and it's only the one, like, this is the thing that always just gets me so much. It's only the woman, right? Like, what does the man, like, pay for in this case? Nothing, right? It's just the woman has to deal with all this crap. So, um, but maybe she didn't have sex. Maybe she got R-worded and now she's forced to have a baby and she's forced to, uh, it's not just like, oh, she can have the baby and give it up for adoption. Well, yeah. Well, what about the 9 months in the meantime? She is doing work that whole time. Another thing I wrote down for this topic is a little bit different, is organ donation. We can't even sell our organs. I think you can sell plasma, but you definitely can't sell, like, a kidney. You can donate a kidney, but in this case, we're forced to donate our organs, right? We're forced to act as life support to another person. I've made the argument that, and this is not something I came up with. This was something that I heard someone else say, and I was like, "This is so smart," right? Um, that uh, if someone needs your kidney to survive, you do not have to give it to them, right? If they're gonna die without your kidney, they're gonna die without your liver or your heart or your lungs. They will die, that's guaranteed. You're the only match. Alright, I'm keeping my stuff. Die, I don't care, right? They can't force you to give up your own organs. In some cases, like your lung or your heart that you need to survive. You can give away a piece of your liver and be okay. You can give away a kidney and be okay. But you need your heart and your lungs to survive. No one can force you to give that up, even if it means they're gonna die. But in the case of a fetus, who is not even a person, who has never lived a day of their life, they can force you to give up your organs to keep them on life support. Existential Gamer says selling organs is illegal because it sets a precedent of exploitation, and yet no one sees this logic with women's bodies. There was actually an editorial or an op-ed or whatever in the New York Times about organ sales, and someone was saying, "Let people sell their kidneys; it would save so many lives." And every single comment was like, "This would create an exploited underclass of people walking around with one kidney," and that's a huge problem. And, you know, if people could sell their eyes, there would be an exploited underclass of people walking around with one eye. Um, and yet nobody thinks about that, like, with surrogacy, it's only poor women selling their wombs. So, there you go. Ice Goddess, has anyone seen that image of the 2-week zygote in a petri dish? It's insane how women are losing their rights for something that looks like snot, right? It doesn't look we're gonna be talking about fetuses at 6 weeks. At 6 weeks, I believe it's the size of, smaller than a pea. That's a 6 weeks. You know what's so crazy too about this is, like, if you ovulate on day 21 of your cycle, as many women do, um, s 6 weeks is from the date of you count it back from the first day of your last period. So that thing has only actually been gestating for 3 weeks. But anyways, our wordists aren't forced to donate their kidneys either. Hey, that's a really good point, right? What is the man who did this? What does he have to suffer? Nothing. Nothing. I hate it. I hate it. All right. Moving right along. Forced pregnancy is a violation of the First Amendment of the US Constitution. Who knows what the First Amendment is in the context of pregnancy? We're probably not talking about freedom of the press here. We're probably not talking about freedom of speech. We're talking about freedom of religion, separation of church and state as it is colloquially known. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. How does a, an abortion ban violate someone's freedom of religion? Class, I'll give you a moment to gather your thoughts. This is the short answer portion of the pop quiz. There you go. Lily says, in the Jewish faith, the woman takes priority over the fetus. So, yeah, specifically citing Judaism here. In Jewish law, a fetus is not a person until it's born. Our Supreme Court is unabashedly Christian. I actually have a video on that as well. I don't have that one linked below, but I have a video called Our Christian Court, um, going into how Christian our Supreme Court is. And 2/3 of Americans identify as Christian as well. Um, but that doesn't mean everybody should have to practice Christianity. So Lily says, so telling Jewish women they can't have an abortion violates their religious beliefs. That's it. Hi, Scottis says, wow, I can't believe I have to give a high five to the Jewish faith. This is uh, a rare Judaism win. Yeah, I agree. So, for all its misogyny inherent in Judaism, this is one instance where they just like get it totally right. And so, the imposition of one religion onto anyone is totally against our constitution the First Amendment of the Constitution is just that's our most important foundational right? Forced pregnancy is racist. How is forced pregnancy racist? How is an abortion ban racist? Another topic that I have a video about. Anyone in the chat wants to take a gander at how forcing women to give birth is racist? Hazel says the USA is based on freedom from religion. All this Christian moralizing is so silly. I totally agree. Lily says maybe because it's mostly women of color living in low income areas who need abortions more frequently. Ice Goddess says, I just know that Black women are more likely to die in childbirth. That is for sure true. Um, Radical says abortion bans are extreme in the South, where a lot of Black people live. So yeah, what Lily said and what Radical said, 60% of women who seek abortions are women of color, and the majority of Black women live in the South, where abortion laws are most restrictive. So the access is not available, like Hazel said. Um, and, they are disproportionately affected. So they're a minority of the population. Like Black women are 13% of the female population, but they do have a disproportionate number of the abortions. So these laws do negatively impact them. And I think, it maybe not in the letter of violating the Civil Rights Act of 1964, but certainly in spirit, it violates the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which says that no one is supposed to discriminate against anyone based on the color of their skin. So I think this is, you know, a huge issue. And I think it's also kind of ironic because the people passing these abortion bans, they tend to be these white supremacist type conservatives, right? The, the same people who say, our race is dying out, white people need to have more children and all that horrible stuff. And then they pass these laws which more or less guarantee that more women of color will have children of color. So, as abhorrent as their beliefs are, they are not actually following through on them by making it so that more children of color would be born. I don't know, that makes sense to me, but like it is pretty wild, right? Like, yeah. And I have talked about this. We did a stream about medical misogyny and how Black women are affected. I think that they are not listened to because it's, even another level from women are not seen as human, but I think Black women are even seen as less human, especially amongst the medical establishment. Like, they're not seen as deserving of care. Their complaints of pain are not taken seriously. They are not listened to until it's too late. And it's really, really awful. Like Super Glue says, hello, Super Glue, new name here. We love new people here, by the way. Um, the discrimination in medical care and just basic lack of empathy for women of color is way too blatant. That's true. And I totally agree. There's so much statistical evidence for that. It's not even an opinion that I agree with, it's just a factual truth. Kay Co says more unplanned pregnancy in the South. The South has more poverty as a whole. People in poverty are more likely to have unprotected sex. So, yeah. Hazel says they want to force pregnancy on women. They don't even make it a survivable venture via our ridiculous healthcare system. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. Oh, I love to see people welcoming our new faces and our new names here. So we love that. Okay. Forced pregnancy hurts all women's job, education, and income prospects. I have a video linked below that I kind of go deep into this topic. Um, it, these abortion bans, when they happen in certain states and not other states, they make our labor as reproductive age women. So I'm talking all women 16 years old up to like 50, 55 years old, like working age and reproductive age women. It makes our labor less portable. So again, I did a deep dive on this. But what that means basically is like if you're an employer in the Northeast, say, you actually know that a woman that you might hire or a woman who already works for you, she doesn't have the option to move away to a competitor company in a red state because it is so unappealing to live in these places for women now, right? So that employer in the blue state says, "Well, I don't have to pay her as much because she can't leave. She doesn't have an option." Um, that's a theoretical, like, economic look at this issue. I'm not sure, like, the actual whether that holds up in practice, but it probably does, and it certainly could, right? It makes your labor less portable because these red states are, like, just not places women wanna go work now. Um, and a lot of women will say, "I don't wanna go to college. What happens if I go to college in Mississippi and I get R-worded, and now I have to upend my whole semester because I can't just go down the street to Planned Parenthood and get an abortion?" So, now I have fewer educational options. Um, so there are a lot of economic implications for all women. So whether you ever get pregnant, you could be celibate. This could not impact you directly at all, but it's going to impact you indirectly. It's going to hurt your ability to like even earn money. Because again, men don't have to deal with this. No employer is looking at a man and saying, "Hey, that man, he could go move to Mississippi. He could move to Texas, he could move to Florida, whatever." He has the freedom and the portability, but a woman can't. And so we are really seen as very different. Another aspect with employment is a lot of employers, when Roe v. Wade was overturned, they said, we're going to, um, we're going to pay for women to travel to Colorado, to New York, to California if they need an abortion. So I believe Starbucks, Amazon, some big employers like that said that. Well, now if you're an employer and you got two spots open, you're hiring two employees, right? You're hiring a man and a woman who each have the same um, qualifications and everything else for the same job title. Are you going to pay that woman as much as you're going to pay the man? No, because you have to factor in this potential $2 or $3,000 trip that she might have to take should she get pregnant and need an abortion. It's going to cut down women's salaries. Um, it may seem altruistic. Oh, this employer is going to offer to send women to get an abortion or whatever. Yeah, well, that's coming out of her pay. It's not like, it's coming out of actually all women's pay. This is not off topic at all because this is where we're going next. OBGYN brain drain, another thing that hurts all women, whether you ever get pregnant ever or not, right? So these bans do not just hurt women who get pregnant. These bans hurt every single woman. So forced pregnancy affects women's ability to access reproductive health care. So again, Camille is right on topic. Just anticipated where we were going with this. Trainees don't want to train in states where they won't be able to learn the full scope of their practice. A lot of doctors find it depressing to practice in these places where they are forced to sit at the bedside of their patient and wait till her blood pressure falls to 70 over 40 or whatever, and she's about to, drop off of the face of the earth and enter the spirit realm, um, before they can actually give her any medical care. Or maybe they have to wait till she is actually deceased to start giving her medical care, right? This is a horrible landscape to try to be an OBGYN right now in these states. Um, so these doctors are leaving. So what does that mean for women who are child free or celibate or whatever, like women who do not need, will never need uh, an abortion? It still impacts their ability to access gynecological care. So, say your doctor moved away because your doctor didn't want to deal with this landscape. Okay, now you're a new patient. So now you have to go find a new gynecologist. You call up a bunch. Maybe they're all booked, right? They're booked because everybody's super busy. So it takes you 9 months to get an appointment with a new gynecologist. In the meantime, you notice you have a pain in your ovary and you're waiting for your gynecologist appointment. You say, well, it's not that bad. I'll just live with it, whatever. And I won't go to urgent care. I'll just live with this pain. So by the time you get to this appointment that was 9 months away, it turns out you have ovarian cancer. Now, maybe it would have been treatable, but now it's not because you had to wait. Okay. So when women lose the ability to access reproductive health care, that affects every single woman who has a uterus, who has ovaries, who has a female reproductive system. It's not just the women who actually need abortions, and it's not just women who need um, emergency abortions in the case of a child or a fetus with a like non-viable, condition, a chromosomal or whatever. It's, it doesn't have a skull or something. Like those cases are horrible, but it impacts even celibate women, child-free women, like women you know, who just happen to be female. Like that's the thing. We are all hurt by this just because we're female. So that's what I wanna hammer home with this is, like, you might be going your own way or 4B or whatever, celibate, etcetera. I know many women here are. You might even be a lesbian. Um, baby is not on the horizon. For plenty of women, baby's not on the horizon and they become assaulted and or a man assaults them, I should say, and then a baby is on the horizon, they have to do something about it. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about any woman. Um, Salad Caesar, this is really cynical view here. It's a botched attempt at natural selection. They want the sick women to die so that healthy women can live, except that healthy women can also get sick. We should be expanding healthcare. We were just talking a moment ago about how medical misogyny affects women of color disproportionately. It affects all women. It absolutely affects women of color disproportionately, and they get the worst end of it. But this medical misogyny affects all women, and we should be trying to expand healthcare for women, not restrict it and reduce it. So let's see. I'm just catching up on the chat here. Enlightened Female says many treatment plans for things other than abortion include methods similar to surgical abortion. DNC, it's used for many other things. That's very true. States that limit abortion to a certain point can still limit the scope of OBGYNs. That's a very good point. Medical misogyny is a pastime for doctors. So, we're going to look at this article. Let me pop it out here so I can read the chat as we go. If you're new to the Friday stream, welcome, welcome, welcome. We love to hear from new people and we love to hear from lurkers. And you will find that this community is very welcoming, kind, wonderful place to practice sharing your voice. I started out as a lurker, so I really invite everyone to speak up, share your voice, just expand your power as a woman. I hope everyone out there is drinking water and staying hydrated on this Friday. We're going to be reading an article called Florida's Abortion Ban Will Reach Well Beyond Florida. So, as of Wednesday, Florida has banned abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. It will have far-reaching effects. I mean, this whole 6-week thing is so mind-boggling. I think someone earlier, it might have been Ice Goddess, said in the chat that, at 6 weeks, it is literally so tiny, like, um, depending on your cycle, you could ovulate, like, day 21. That thing will have been gestating for like 3 weeks. That's just so mind-boggling. Like, what is 3 weeks? It's nothing. It's crazy. Um, so as of August 2021, abortion was legal in every state. Let's just take a moment of silence for remembering a time when every woman in this country had rights. This is what I am talking about when I talk about, it's going backwards and we all need to be like, we need to be shouting at every instance, like, we're going backwards. We cannot keep going backwards. We will go backwards straight to Puritan times. Hazel says women miscarry at that time and think it's a period, not even realizing they were pregnant. Yeah, that's very common. Miscarriages are a lot more common than women know, I think for that reason, right? If you're trying to get pregnant and you're like, taking um, pregnancy tests and stuff like that, you might know that your hormones are elevated at that point. But yeah, we're talking about like maybe 1 to 2 weeks after a missed period. So your period might be like 1 week late depending on your cycle and all the women have cycles of all different lengths and stuff. Depending on your cycle, you could be like, "Oh, my period's like a week late." And then you realize like maybe a few days after that, "Oh crap, I'm pregnant." Now it's too late. Dude, it is too late. If you like essentially it's a full ban. I mean, it is essentially a full ban, right? Peach says, "I didn't know I was pregnant until I was 3 months in, had negative pregnancy tests even." All sorts of crazy things can happen, and these laws just do not account for any of that. Creating orphans to own the libs. For real. Okay. In 2021, abortion was legal in every state. The average American woman lived less than 25 miles from a clinic. Oh, just like unbelievably different landscape than we have today. So here's miles to the nearest clinic, right? You could see in Florida, pretty much covered. I'm pretty sure this part of Texas is quite rural anyways. And so that's probably what you see. These are pockets around cities. And then, there are parts of the South that are quite rural. And then and there's also, Bible Belt and everything. So there are going to be places naturally where there are fewer clinics. But at worst, you're looking at several hours drive, maybe 5, 6 hours drive or something like that in some of these super rural areas. But not a lot of people live there either, so just wouldn't affect that many people. Okay. But after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, some states banned all or most abortions, including many in the South. So this is as of March 2024. Here you have really limited access, or basically no access. It looks like there may be clinics up in Kansas or, New Mexico. You're not far. Florida was still available. North Carolina, Virginia, sort of purple states. Um, So this is a really interesting diagram here. If you are in Louisiana, if you're in this part of Eastern Texas, Mississippi, you are looking at a very far drive to an abortion clinic should you need one. So I think this is just I really think this diagram really hits it home here. Hazel says Republicans cry nonstop about welfare, then force women who don't want slash can't care for a baby, bring one into the world. Clowns. Again, yeah, I have a whole video about that is also linked. That's called Feminism is Pro-Life, because feminists want things like welfare. They want a state that's more equitable towards mothers and stuff like that. And Republicans don't want that. So again, they call themselves pro-life, but they are not at all. They are just pro uh, oppressing women basically. Um Ice Goddess says this is a big reason I don't even want to touch these states. My personal feeling, the Deep South is a scary place. I would never want to go ever. I mean, thinking about Mississippi or Alabama, I wouldn't even wanna drive through. So I agree with that. Have a great day, Pearl. Thanks for stopping by. Florida, North Carolina, and Virginia were the only states in the South offering abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy for 6.4 million women. The nearest clinic was in Florida for 6.4 million women. A hard number even to conceptualize. That is so crazy. Um, that Florida really was servicing, or not servicing 6 million women, but, that was the lifeline for 6 million women. Banana says they're pro-family and against anything that would actually benefit families. I'm so glad that you guys recognize that. And MS is so many people in these states don't even support these bans. Florida has a very large liberal population. I mean, Florida is like a swing state. Florida is like one of those states that really can go either way. So, that's so crazy. Carla says celibate in the South is the only way to be. Speaking from appearance, experience, yeah. Like, why would you take the risk? It's so crazy. Again, a risk that only women are forced to bear. Men just skate through life, same level of hormones every single day. I hate them. Now that option is gone, women in several states will need to travel hundreds of miles farther to reach a clinic. Boom. Look at that. Oh, it's so sad and upsetting for real. For real. So let's read this analysis. By the way, this is by Josh Katz, Margot Sanger-Katz, and Claire Cain Miller. Claire Cain Miller is like one of my favorite writers there at the New York Times. She writes all about women, uh, you know, women's equality, inequality, and stuff. So yeah, I definitely like look up her writing. She's great. It is the biggest change to abortion access since the period immediately after the reversal of Roe v. Wade in 2022. This is a seismic event for everyone in the ecosystem, said Jenny Black, the chief executive of Planned Parenthood South Atlantic, which operates in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia. Seismic event. This is why I wanted to cover this week. I had a few other topics, but I was like, this was hands down just what we have to talk about. This is so crazy. It is impossible to overstate the impact of this ban on abortion access to the whole Southeast, probably all up the eastern seaboard. Florida, unlike much of the South, has long had many abortion clinics, more than 50, spread throughout the state. The average Florida woman lives less than 20 miles from one. Last year, clinics in Florida provided around 86,000 abortions behind only California, New York, and Illinois, according to estimates from the Guttmacher Institute. 86,000, that puts it at fourth. So we are losing this, the fourth highest state for abortions. Like, we're losing that resource, which is crazy. Bye, radical. Go work. Oh, Sophia says, America is so barbaric. I don't want to live here anymore. And yet it's still so much better than so many other places in the world, which is not saying much. But yeah, I feel you though. But oh man, dude, we have to have some hope for November too. Then I just don't even know, right? Oh, I don't even know what happens if November. I really want, the young people who watch this who are in America, like, please be politically engaged. I feel like anyone who's watching this probably is, but we have this crisis right now where only one third of 18 to 34-year-olds care who is elected president in the next election. Like, two-thirds of 18 to 34-year-olds say they don't care, they don't have an opinion on who they want to be president. That is so shocking and shameful. And look at this one issue. This is all because Trump was president and he got 3 appointments to the Supreme Court in 4 years, and they overturned Roe v. Wade. That was a direct result of the Trump presidency, okay? And how many women, 18 to 34, like, are gonna suffer because this? And how many of those women would say, "I don't care who's president?" Like, it is literally gonna be life or death for people. You have to care. Like, you have to care what happens. It's so wild. Uh, Bananas. I'm reading Handmaid's Tale right now. It's a bit too close for comfort. Lily says, "I can't imagine not caring." I'm glad we're on the same page. Banana says, "Caring about politics isn't cool for young people, unfortunately." Enlightened Female says, "I will do anything to prevent Trump from being president again." Same with me. My mom is like, "Make sure you're on your streams every week telling people to vote for Biden." And I'm like, Don't worry. I am." Like, you know, anything, right? It's an existential crisis, I think. Okay, of those, more than 9,000 were patients who came from other states, part of an influx after many southern states banned or severely restricted abortion following the Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization. With few exceptions, women across the South who are beyond 6 weeks of pregnancy, before many women know they're pregnant, will now have to travel much farther to a clinic for an abortion. Also, for around a decade, Florida has required two appointments 24 hours apart to get an abortion, making it harder to receive one before the 6-week mark. That's kind of wild, right? If Florida requires two appointments 24 hours apart, like, why? That is purely just to make women suffer. This is, like, purely lawmakers who are like, "How can we maximize suffering for a woman to let's make her get 2 appointments for her abortion instead of 1." In other states, 6-week bans have decreased abortions by about half. In other words, it's doubled the number. Well, I don't know if it's even double. It might be many multiple times the unwanted babies being born. It could be infinity times actually from a math perspective, but like it's decreased abortion by half. So lots of unwanted babies being born. Again, I've talked about this in a video a long, long time ago, but I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with what happened in Romania under Nicolae Ceausescu, but he forced women to give birth. Women were forced to have 5 births each. Most of the children were raised in not orphanages, but, like group home type settings or whatever, because the women didn't wanna raise them, and when those kids turned 18, they killed Ceausescu. Like, Un unwanted babies are a very bad thing for society. That's something we should absolutely be doing everything to avoid, and instead we're creating more of them. Like, unwanted babies don't have good lives. They don't have happy lives. They have bad lives. Like, if a woman wanted to abort the child and she was forced to have it and forced to raise it in poverty most of the time, those kids are gonna, like they're not gonna make our society better at all. We're hopeful that not only will the numbers in Florida for abortions take a deep nosedive, but it does have national implications. Andrew Shervill, a man, the founder and executive director of Florida Voice for the Unborn, a group that lobbied the legislature for the ban. I like want to punch something. Does anyone else join me in this feeling of wanting to punch something like um just reading about a man who will never have to raise a child he doesn't want, a man who will never have to gestate a child he doesn't want, a man who's never even had one period ever, one uterus cramp ever, one middle schmerz. Like this guy doesn't have a female body, so he should not have an opinion on what other females do with their bodies. Hazel, always ready to throw hands. Of course, a man is the founder. Like, that's a man who is like, "What should I do with my life? I'm gonna found a group that's gonna force women to be pregnant and give birth against their will." That's great. That's great, isn't it? Wow. What a great thing to do with your life, Andrew Shervill. Governor Ron DeSantis, a Republican, has said he does not want the state to remain an abortion tourism destination. What a disgusting loser. Like, this is just disgusting. I want people to really realize because Florida has had these bans on this like transgender stuff for kids and everything. Um, and so many women are like, "Oh, yeah, Republicans, they're the only ones who are on women's side with this trans stuff." It's like, "No, they are not on your side. They are not on your side. They will never be on your side." This is how hideous their opinions of women are. This is so horrifying that he would say this is, like, such a callous, like, just disgusting thing to say. Abortion tourism? Like I'm I don't have any nice words to say right now. I just have to zip my lip because I will not say anything nice about Ron DeSantis. What scum. No one is having an abortion as, like, part of a fun vacation. It's just, like, absolutely such a disgusting expression. Conservatives are not our friends. Thank you, enlightened female. I mean, I just no words. I'm out of words right now. Despite bans in 14 states and restrictions in several others, the number of legal abortions nationwide is about the same as before Roe was overturned. Okay, so that's kind of good news. Florida's new ban could change that, researchers said, an illustration of how regional abortion access has become. Shutting down abortion access in one linchpin state, Florida, could reduce the number of abortions across the entire region, while in swaths of the rest of the country, abortion has remained accessible and in some places has become even more so. So, this is what I was talking about, when we're talking about the economic implications for women with abortion is like there are whole regions that become very unattractive for women to live in and other places that become relatively much more attractive. So like the Northeast, the West Coast. But employers in those places know that they have an advantage and women will trade off getting paid more for living in a blue state. So in other words, women they will pay women less at jobs because women don't have the option to just live wherever now. I hope that makes sense to you guys. The maps above show how the distances to the nearest clinic have increased for women in the South who are more than 6 weeks pregnant, based on data from Caitlin Myers, a professor of economics at Middlebury College, who's been measuring the effects of the abortion bans for years. So, yeah, we took a look at those. It's pretty crazy. It's a great point. Thank you, bananas. Lily says, does he think women are stopping by the abortion clinic before they hit the ski resort or something? F all the way off. I totally agree. Carla says, my take is besides trying to slander women, men are projecting their flippant attitude to reproduction. They do sex tourism, so women must do abortion tourism. That is such a great point. Yeah, no, this is not every woman who gets an abortion. It is for many of them, it is traumatic or it's just a important life event. And as a society, we should be doing everything to reduce the trauma of that. And having to travel away from home, you can't sleep in your own bed, you're uncomfortable, you're maybe scared and all of this stuff. This is like just torturing women, honestly, for fun. Like, there's no point to doing any of this because women will still have abortions. They still will travel to get the abortion. Um, I mean, I guess this article is trying to say some of them will not be able to, and that sucks. But like, you're just all you're doing is increasing the trauma. It's it's really like putting your thumb on a woman, and pushing down. Women in Miami who are beyond 6 weeks will now need to travel more than 700 miles to reach the nearest clinic in Charlotte, North Carolina, where state law requires 2 visits spread over 3 days. Another one of these, we just want to torture you for our own enjoyment. Totally crazy. Like, obviously, if you need an abortion, 3 days is not going to make any difference. You just need the abortion, right? But like the other thing it says is how overwhelmed are these clinics in Charlotte gonna be now because they're the closest one. Like, you're not gonna be able to get an appointment in Charlotte. You're gonna have to go even further. And that's why they say this is gonna affect the entire Eastern Seaboard, is because you're gonna find women from Miami are ending up having to go to New York or Connecticut or New Jersey or whatever, like way further up because these clinics in the mid-Atlantic are going to be, like, swamped. This is a great point too. Having to stay 3 extra days just adds more to the cost, not mentioning having to schedule it out, making it almost impossible. And yet, like, the alternative is having a child. Like, I feel like if you're in this position, you it's whatever heroic, measures you have to take to get yourself to an abortion clinic, it's still gonna be so much less effort than actually, like, you know, going through the rest of the pregnancy and having a baby and, like, potentially having to raise a baby. Um, so Yeah, 6 weeks is nothing. That's the thing that's so crazy. And, I think, someone correct me, someone will know this in the chat, but I think it's, like, up to 12 weeks, they do just a medication only abortion. And a lot of women in these states that have banned the, DNC procedure or whatever, they're still getting medication from other states. Um, so like mifepristone or whatever. The problem with that is I'm not sure, I'm not a gynecologist or whatever, but like I don't know if you go later, like if you go up to that 12-week mark or whatever, and then you do the medication abortion, like some women who do the medication will still need a DNC anyways because their body is not expelling like all of the tissue. In which case, what do you do then? Um, like if you did the medication abortion because you ordered medication from a blue state or whatever, you get that, you do it, and now, a few days later, you're still having like chunks of tissue coming out of you, say. That's the point at which like you would go to the ER and get a DNC. But are you gonna be prosecuted for doing a medication abortion in that case? That's the thing I think, again, this is all the fear, right? It just creates so much trauma, so much fear. Lissa says only 30% of countries allow abortions upon request, unfortunately, and 45% of abortions performed globally are unsafe. The US is only one of a handful of countries that are rolling back abortion rights. Um, Mars Junkie Girl. Planned Parenthood is one of the places often recommended for low cost women's health care. So I've thought about going there myself, but refrained because I don't want to be part of the many swamping the local clinics. When I was in my 20s, I used to go to Planned Parenthood. That's, I went there and then I just kept seeing the gynecologist that I saw there. So, and they had a sliding scale. At the time, I was earning pretty good money, so I don't think I, like, qualified for any discounts and care or anything like that. I had insurance too, so, um, yeah. Da, 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 da. Okay, the current wait time there is a week or more to get an appointment, which is actually not bad, really, according to a recent survey of clinics led by Professor Myers. Otherwise, women would need to travel further to clinics in Virginia or Washington, D.C. Driving distances would also increase by more than 100 miles for women in parts of Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Percent of women in the South living less than 100 miles from a clinic offering abortions after 6 weeks. So in August 2021, it was 93% were living within 100 miles or about 2.5 hours driving from a clinic offering abortions. And, with the Florida ban, it's only 21%. So only 1 in 5 women in the South is living less than a 2.5-hour drive from an abortion clinic, which is still, like, pretty far. Um, and it's so few women. So, percent of women in the South living more than 300 miles, in other words, like a full day drive, um, 57%. So that's pretty rough. 300 miles or more. This is true too. No one is aborting at 6 months except if the baby isn't compatible with life. At that point, it's just birth. Ice Goddess says, I was born at 6 months and they use that as an argument. They could have aborted you. Cool. I don't care. This is going to be the biggest change to abortion access since Dobbs, and the impact is clear. I feel like this decision, it's like it's almost like a bad dream. You're like, this can't really be happening, right? Like this is just like happening in an alternate universe or something. Like this isn't really happening. And this is when I talk about political engagement and stuff. It's like so many people think like what politicians do just like doesn't impact us, right? It's like they're off in their, you know, the state house or whatever, like the Congress and stuff, like whatever they're doing, it's like it doesn't matter, right? It's just like no, it directly like impacts all of us. Mars Junkie Girl says the number of otherwise progressive women I've encountered who think, well, I think there needs to be restrictions because too many people get abortions for fun is too damn high. It doesn't matter the reason a woman gets an abortion. She can go get an abortion for fun if she wants. Like, she should have access whatever her reason is. Um, More people are going to have to travel further distances if they have the financial resources to do so, and many people will be forced to remain pregnant, said Stephanie Lorraine Pinheiro, executive director of Florida Access Network, which helps women in Florida pay for abortions and travel to clinics. Clinic operators in North Carolina and Virginia say they are trying to expand capacity, but they are already struggling to meet demand. Several clinics in those states are already reporting waits of 2 weeks for appointments, according to Professor Meyer's survey and interviews with clinic staffers. Decades of research show that as driving distance to abortion clinics increase, fewer women obtain abortions. The typical seeker of an abortion is poor and often struggles to arrange transportation, time off for work, housing, and childcare to travel long distances. Good point. It may be a woman who already has kids. Like there's so many things that make you're talking about a long distance trip. Like that's hard anyways. Even if it is something that you wanna do for pleasure, like a long distance road trip or try to get on an airplane and go somewhere, this is, like, tough stuff. Yet there is uncertainty about the precise long-term effects of a ban. The same day Florida Supreme Court allowed a 6-week limit to go into effect, it also allowed a constitutional amendment on abortion to appear on the November ballot. If the amendment earns the support of 60% of voters, it will reverse the ban and protect abortion rights until about 24 weeks. Again, my friends, this is the importance of political engagement. What do you want to happen? You can literally show up to the polls and vote that, if you live in Florida, that is, to keep it legal. Or if you are apathetic and you don't show up, as probably a lot of women won't, then it will stay illegal. It's like our government is what we make it, our government is of, by, and for the people. So get active, start caring. In recent months, more women have been ordering abortion pills through telemedicine, as we were talking about earlier. This includes women in states with bans who order from clinicians in states with laws that shield them from out of state prosecution. Such abortions could become more common in the South, but some women are unaware of the option or uncomfortable managing an abortion without a nearby medical provider. So this is what I was talking about earlier, is like that's pretty scary to have to do that whole thing yourself. And then if you are in need of an emergency DNC, you're going to risk going to jail or whatever because you did your own medication abortion at home, which is illegal there. Others are too far along in their pregnancies for the option. Abortion pills are recommended by the FDA only during the first 10 weeks of pregnancy. As a result, telemedicine is unlikely to replace all the abortions currently occurring in Florida. I don't think it means that everybody is just perfectly substitutes it for traveling to a brick and mortar facility and seeing a provider in person, Professor Myers said. So even though those medication abortions are very common, they're still happening in women who have the option to go somewhere and get an emergency D&C if they need it. Pregnant people is just the cherry on top of this cake. Did this say pregnant people somewhere? And I missed it. Um, well, that's its own issue basically, but I was and researching this issue, I did come across quite a bit of pregnant people, and I'm like, Just stop. Like, just stop. Are you trying to, like, humanize women or what? Like, by calling them people? Just call them women, that's what they are. Okay. Uh, in 1980, I was able to walk to a women's clinic and get a free pregnancy test. At-home tests didn't exist because women were believed to be incapable of handling the results outside of a care setting. It was positive. I was asked if I wanted prenatal care or to terminate. I was offered counseling if I wanted to discuss my options. I declined the counseling as I knew I did not want to have a child. I asked to schedule a termination. I easily got an appointment for the next week that accommodated my work and school schedule. I walked to the appointment, all went smoothly with zero discomfort, and I walked home. It's infuriating to see women being oppressed and denied their rights to agency, equality, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. America has failed women and is no better than many of the non democratic countries that also oppress women as a rule of law. Sharia law, we have it here. For women, the Constitution is just pretty words that have no meaning for us, as we must live under a different set of rules and laws. There's no denying it. Women in America are not full citizens. What a powerful comment. I'm going to make this a little bigger so you can see it. Like, damn, go there. Go there. There is no denying it. Women in America are not full citizens. The Constitution is just pretty words. What did we talk about at the beginning of the stream? This violates our 13th Amendment rights to not be slaves. This violates our First Amendment right to practice our religion as we see fit and to not have religion forced down our throats, because that is a massive part of our country, is we are not supposed to have any religion forced down our throats. The founding fathers who came over here, they did not want a, a state religion. And yeah, that's what we have now. The 13th Amendment, 1865, acknowledged that people should not have to work unpaid and against their will. And now we are forcing women to work unpaid and against their will in doing this reproductive labor. The Constitution is just pretty words for women. Bastet Owl says there's not much difference between evangelicals and the Taliban. Totally agree. Um, Carla, if you don't laugh, you'll start to cry. Sweet home Talabama. All religious freedom till you disagree with them. Yeah, they have the religious freedom to force their religion on other people. That is literally what they think religious freedom means. They mean religious freedom means they have the freedom to force their religion on other people. I'm gonna see if I can get my camera to work, so just deal with a black screen for a little bit. You guys can't see me, right? I'm gonna try this again. Let me know if you can see me or if you can't, or I will, I'll come up with something. Okay. Uh, my cords are so tenuous here. Can you see that? Wait, okay. Da 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 da. Oh, still can't see me. I just wanna, like, see if I can get this working. Start okay, that you probably can see, and that's the wrong thing. Anything? Okay, you saw the kitty. How about now? The kitten cow. That's Miss Charlie. Anything? Anything? Hello? Yes? No? Manycam? I know that's not the right one. I'm here. I'm queer, get used to it. Um, I'm just gonna wait. No. Nothing? Why is it being a little B word today? Okay. Well, I'm gonna go back to this then. I don't know. Sorry, guys. Um, yeah, I don't have too much else to say. I kinda wanted to do a shorter stream today. Hazel says maybe it needs to warm up like an old-timey TV. Um, that's not even the camera that I use. I don't even know what that is, but that always comes up Manycam. I don't know. I use a Logitech, but today it's not being logical tech. So there you go. Um, I'm just like flabbergasted. Like I said, I think to me, this stuff just feels like a totally bad dream. I don't live anywhere near Florida. Um, but I feel for the women who live there. No logic, no tech, not today. It's annoying because to me, it looks exactly like how it always looks, like, it looks totally normal, and I have all the settings the exact same, so I'll just have to catch up with you guys next week. I miss you, I miss you know? Um, yeah, I just think it's a total nightmare for women. I mean, this comment's just so awesome, and this is the top comment, so this is like, you know, um they are forcing poor women to have many more children in a country without universal health care. Let's give that a recommend. Um, oh my gosh, what? Everything's not working today. Uh, now my thing is frozen. Oh my god. Um, oh, that's good. Page unresponsive. What will this do to the country in one generation? Say goodbye to what remained of the middle class. I totally agree. I think that the long-term implications for this are going to be horrible for our country. Dude, tough Friday. Like none of my tech is working today. Mercury in retrograde, definitely. Well, I have like a very gnarly cold sore. So like maybe the maybe it's all trying to, like, just keep my ugliness off of the internet or something. I've been sick. I should just tell you guys, yeah, I've been sick for, like, a week. I made a community post, but I started going to therapy, like, 2 weeks ago. I just had my 3rd one yesterday, and, I feel like it's like the demons are, like, coming out of me physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, epistemologically, ontologically, like, I just I have these I don't know if anyone else out there just feels like their life is just like a series of traumas, and I've had a pretty good what the heck? Okay, now it's probably back to a let me just do this. Okay, there you go. Um, like, literally, New York Times just, like, died. Like, my thing, like, crashed. Okay, whatever. Yeah, maybe it's the demons have are in the machine, I don't know. So what was I saying? Um, Valtrex, like, works really good. I don't have any for cold sores. I'm just toughing it out. I'm just letting it run its course. But anyways, um, yeah, what was I saying? I don't know. I've been going to therapy and I just feel like I'm exercising my demons. But yes, I do feel like my life is like a just series of traumas, and if I just start to think about all of them, like, layered on top of each other, it's like, how have I even, like, survived? And it's like, I was never in, like, a war or something. I don't know if anyone else feels that way too, that's like, oh, you feel like you've gone through so many, like, personal traumas, but it's like, I was never, like, in a war. I was never, like, in a serious car accident. I never had cancer, knock on wood. Like, things that I think of as being, you know, also knock on wood, I haven't had anyone really, really close to me die except for my grandmother. But like, like I'm like the things that I have gone through have just like hurt me so bad too. I don't know, whatever. Just saying life can be traumatic for sure. Ice goddess. I think, um, yeah, little T traumas. I think it's all relative too. Like they say, like, oh, if you're a kid and your mom lost you in the store or something, which actually did happen to me once. Like they say, like that stuff can create lifelong, like lasting trauma or whatever. Um, thank you, Carla. I come across as put together and that's because I what's the word? Like repress I'm like a repressor, right? I do everything to avoid dealing with, coping with, thinking about any of this stuff. I just bury it. It's like under a layer of concrete, you know? But then I think this is like the stuff that I've been talking about with the therapist so far. Like, we're gonna go work on this stuff. She has a lot of ideas about like, activities to do to like address some of it, but I just feel like I have no trust. I said that to her too. I was like, I can't trust anybody. I can't trust anything in this world. I have no trust at all. I have no trust to give anyone. I have no trust in myself. And like she had this idea like, "Oh, you can learn to trust again." And I'm like, I can't. Like to that idea that the world is this dangerous place where I can trust no one and I cannot trust even myself, that is set in concrete. I don't know how to get that out. I hope she's a good therapist and she can help me, but, like, I truly believe that, like, this world is out to get you, it's dangerous, like, there's just so many examples of it all around. And I told her, like, I have this very significant fear of men, and you know, she was like, "Yeah, men are terrible," so at least we, like, vibed on that, but see, I don't even trust myself. That's one of my problems. That's one of my traumas is that I lost my trust in myself in 2015, and I think I had trusted myself before, but, you know, it was pretty tough. I made a short about this, but I, dropped somebody off the side of a cliff by accident. Not exactly, but yeah. And so up till that point, I had very good trust in myself, and then after that point, I had no trust in myself at all. So it's hard to go through life like that. But yeah, I've been really sick physically too, and then I'm like, I wonder if it's the stress of confronting some of these things and these things that I really just do everything to avoid thinking about. And then the past week, some of you guys know I have like a serious internet addiction. And I think that I really use the internet as a way to not think about any of these things, and as soon as anything stressful in my mind comes up, or, like, any anxiety at all, like, at the moment I have any anxiety, I just check my phone. I just go on my phone, I look at YouTube, I look at Reddit, I read Discord, I don't have New York Times, like, those are, like, the 4 things I do online. But, like, I can just quell any rising anxiety I have by just, using. And thank God my addiction is the internet and not, like, opiates or something. Like, I know it's like a kind of a relatively mild addiction, but I have days when I'm on it 14 hours a day. Is there time left over for anything else after you're on the internet for 14 hours a day? No, there is not. And, like, there's been times where I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating because I'm just, like, straight up on the internet trying to not think about, these things that cause me so much stress and anxiety. Lily says I also push my emotions down with my phone. Um, Hi, Scottis says at least I'm not addicted to cocaine or something. Yeah, it's like, but I do feel like the internet, it can have negative physical impacts for us too. Like, again, it can really negatively impact your sleep. It can negatively impact, like, just all the rhythms of your body because it creates that, like, dopamine, you know, um, like, it's just so unnatural, like, it's a stimulant, it's like a very strong stimulant, and, I actually think it is very similar to cocaine in the amount that it stimulates your brain. I mean, think about it, like, you wake up, you roll over in the morning, you're a little groggy, you look at the computer or you look at the phone in bed, and within, like, a couple of minutes, you're, like, really awake. That's not natural, that's, like, not a natural pattern for our brains and our bodies. So anyways, I've been doing this, like, screen-free, like, diet basically for the last week, and I've pretty much just only been using the computer to work because, like, that's the thing that's kind of annoying about this is I can't go, like, cold turkey because I work on the computer. But, I've been doing the first 90 minutes of the day screen-free. So I do not look at the phone or any screen first 90 minutes from when I get out of bed. So even if I wake up at 7:30 and I get out of bed at 8, then I'll wait till 9:30 to even look at a screen. And I think that's helping me get back into the normal pattern of life. Then the harder one for me is I've been doing screen-free after 9 PM. That is really hard for me because it's at night when especially a lot of those kind of, like, stressful, traumatic thoughts surface, and sometimes, like, when I'm laying in bed trying to fall asleep and I'm just thinking about, like, cancer or death or, like, these horrible things, or these, like, cringy, traumatic, whatever things that have happened in my life, and I'm like, "Shut up, like, just stop, I wanna go to sleep right now." And it's that especially like that at night when I wanna use the phone or the computer to, like, drown all of that out. But I've been doing it for, I think, 6 or 7 days now, and, um, I feel like things are happening, I don't know, like, I feel like I need more time with it. Then the other thing is I'm limiting my phone use to 2 hours a day, but I've really been doing, like, 30 to 45 minutes. I still wanna keep making, like, YouTube Shorts, the fitness stuff that I do, but, like, so I have to do that on the phone, whatever, anyways. I've been limiting it to 2 hours a day and then 6 hours on the computer. So at most, I'm using, like, 8 hours a day, which is, still a fair amount, but I'm not doing the New York Times, I'm not doing Reddit. I've cut back on Discord, um, and I'm not really doing YouTube. So yeah, Carla says, "I hope you know, ever since you mentioned a morning screen diet, I've been trying to do the same." So that is awesome. I really yeah, I think, yeah, I think that's really good. I really hope more people, even if you just do 10 minutes or 15 minutes, just like get out of bed without looking at your phone before you get out of bed. Get out of bed and just, go use the bathroom, like get up, have a glass of water, have something to eat or whatever. I am telling you, like, it is really hard. If you're used to looking at a screen first thing, it's like hard to actually exist those first few minutes of the day without it. So I like if this is like resonating with you, I would really suggest you like try it. If you're like, "Oh, yeah, I look at my screen first thing every morning." I think probably a lot or most people do. Then like just try it. And I have also found it's like, oh, I feel less like drawn to it, right? It's like it's losing its appeal to me. Um And it's like I say that as a content creator, like, I want people to watch my stuff and engage with my stuff or whatever, but at the same time, I would much rather people not be addicted to the internet than, like, watch my stuff, if that makes sense. Hazel says, "I wonder if distracting yourself in a different way, like music on a CD player or record player, is still entertained but not locked in for hours." Yeah, that's actually a good idea. I have a CD player and a record player, um, and I haven't, like, busted them out, but that's, like, a good idea. Gravy over potatoes says, "Oh, it's not funny, but I read this as borscht ban." I thought of that too. Um, I don't know. Existential says, "I'll take breaks from my constant internet stuff by listening to music. Technically, it's still online, but it's nice." Lily says, "I am terrible. I roll over and pick up the phone immediately. I am going to try to stop for at least those 15 minutes in the morning. Like, do it for a few mornings. Let me know how it goes." Like, I think I really, really encourage you just if you say in your mind, that sounds hard, then that means you really need it. That means you really need it. But also don't frame it as I am terrible. Like we we have been given these things or, that are so addictive. I don't think it's any of our fault, and I don't think it should be embarrassing or anything that, like we got hooked on this stuff um that is meant to hook us. Like this was the whole point, was to get us addicted, and they did. Yeah. Ice Goddess says, "I spend a chunk of time in the morning to meditate, but I need to make it an everyday thing." Yeah, that's good. I've been doing a little bit of deep breathing on my Garmin. It has like a deep breathing thing. So it's like 5 minutes long. And it's good. It's good. Mars Junkie Girl says, "My problem is falling asleep without something to read. My phone was broken for a couple weeks. I was so bored without my ebooks. If I had prepared for it, I would just try reading physical books." Yeah, I think I might get some books. I am not like a buyer of books, but I've been thinking about getting some books. I'm also a big proponent of the library, but then like sometimes they don't have the specific books you want to read. America has been set up as one giant Skinner box of dopamine hits. Brain dump in a journal, I love that idea. That was one thing when I've done this in the past, I've definitely heavily relied on a journal to just be like my journal, if you read it, it's like pretty much every entry is like, "I'm doing screen-free time right now. I'm so addicted to the internet," like but it's like, that's what I need to not do it? Uh, get all the heavy feelings out on paper that come with getting up and getting out of bed and then tear it up and start your day. I love that. We should not be hard on ourselves because we're addicted because we lack willpower. We're just lazy. Devices were designed to hook us. It has nothing to do with willpower or laziness or anything, but they will make you feel exhausted. Like that's the thing. Anything that's a stimulant, it's going to have that thing where like now you need it. If you don't have it, you feel exhausted without it. You can't function and all that stuff. Um, So, yeah, this is a good idea. Secondhand bookstores for sure. So, journal, jog, touch some clover. We love it. Yeah, I've been, like, touching grass, like, hardcore. But, yeah, that's what I've been up to. I just wanted to, like, um, say that, you know, it's I'm I'm, like, kind of doing all this stuff at once, like, I'm going to therapy, I'm trying to, like, deal with all this stuff. I realized because I haven't gone to therapy since before COVID, and I didn't even talk to the current therapist about this yet, but actually how traumatizing COVID was, like, just going through that whole experience of being locked up and, um, just feeling that the world is so unsafe and all of that stuff. I'm just trying to deal with all this. And, I thought like, should I do a stream? And then I'm like, um, yeah, I want to still keep the regularity with the Friday and the Tuesday streams. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The apps literally have neuroscientists developing them to be as addictive as possible, and it's scary, and it's just like junk food. I totally agree. I think, yeah, people who are overweight or obese and stuff, they're seen as having failed morally or like they have no willpower. And I'm like, dude, they literally engineer food to make you addicted to it. Like, I don't blame a single person for being overweight or whatever. I have other feelings about that too, but like, it's the same thing. It's like people don't have your best interest at heart. Like they just see you as something to like make money off of, and it's totally disgusting. Our world is so it's so different from what it could be. Let's just put it that way. Like we could live in a utopia if people actually gave a shit about each other, but they don't. All they do is care about like using people to make money and at the expense of that person having like a decent life at all. Yeah, car dependence too. Yeah, true good point about that. Hmm. So, there you go. Stay grounded, look around you and see reality, touch it, notice it, stay there, stay with the feelings, learn to be alone sometimes, learn to be with yourself, learn to be with your feelings, and we can get through it. We can all get through it. Well, thank you guys for joining me. And I'm glad we had this conversation about aborsh, aborshi. Um, it's so crazy what's going on in the world right now. I do think we need each other. I think it's really important, but we also just need to not be addicted to these devices at the same time. Feel your feels. Borscht. Eat your borscht. Um, and I'm, yeah, I'm just grateful for you all that I have this place to talk to people. It's nice. So there you go. I think Tuesday we're on my channel. I know Tuesday we're on my channel. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday. This channel right here. Make sure you're subscribed. Also hit that like button. Um, Radical Ramblings will be here, and we'll have the voice chat open to anyone who wants to come on. I think we might talk about there was, like, a couple trans things. There were these girls somewhere who protested, and now they can't play sports. So I saw that article my sister sent to me, and I thought that seemed pretty interesting, and then there was one other thing related to it. That was one option. I thought about talking about Harvey Weinstein. That's kind of like old already in the news. Again, I'm not really looking at the news too much, so feel free to like send me ideas for streams if you have something you want to talk about. And, oh, someone who spent 45 plus years dissociating, I know a thing or two about grounding. Yo, um, I feel that for sure. Okay, so Tuesday will be here on my channel. I don't know if I'll post any content in the meantime. Probably not any feminist stuff. Um, what's like something else I want to say? Oh yeah, if you want to support this channel, anyone who is left here and you want to support this channel, I never ask you for money or anything like that. There's no Patreon, blah blah blah. Okay, the best way to support this channel is I'm gonna end this stream in a moment or two. Refresh the screen and come back and leave a comment. One thing you learned or whatever, just like you could say just cool video, okay? You could say anything, just a comment. That is what helps this channel more than anything. So I'm going to end the stream now, come back, refresh the stream, leave a comment down below. You know how to do it. You all know how to do it. Anything. Yeah, you can write first. You can write second. I don't care. Any comment, just be like, cool, great stream, cool video. You know what to do. Okay. Thank you guys for joining me. I will see you again on Tuesday. Take care. Be well. Goodbye.